Right now, somewhere on Earth, someone is praying to something they cannot see, cannot hear, and cannot prove exists. It feels ancient. It feels certain. But the real answer for why this happens is far stranger than faith or fiction. Because gods, in the way almost every human culture imagines them, may not have started as belief at all. They may have started as a glitch, a leftover setting in your brain that was never designed to detect gods in the first place. It was designed to detect something else entirely. Picture the earliest humans moving through tall grass. A stick snaps somewhere behind them. There's no way to know, in that instant, whether it's the wind or a predator. But here's the catch. Guessing wrong in one direction costs almost nothing. Guessing wrong in the other direction could cost your life. If you assume it's nothing, and it turns out to be a lion, you die. If you assume it's a lion, and it turns out to be the wind, you simply feel foolish for a second and move on. Over millions of years, that asymmetry shaped something deep in the human mind, a bias toward assuming intention, a tendency to look at ambiguous events and ask not what happened, but who did this and why. Researchers call this a hyperactive agency detection device, a term used by cognitive scientist Justin Barrett to describe exactly this pattern. Your brain is tuned to overdetect agents, minds, intentions, even when none are there. Not because it's broken, because in a dangerous world, false alarms were cheap and missed threats were fatal. That single tendency, built for predators, ends up pointed at something much bigger, because it isn't just rustling grass that triggers it. Ask yourself why thunder used to be explained as anger, why a drought was explained as punishment, why a good harvest was explained as favor. In every case, the human mind took something impersonal, weather, chance, disease, and quietly slid an intention underneath it. Somebody wanted this to happen. That's the first accident. A detection system built for lions and rustling grass, misfiring on storms, harvests, and death, and finding intention in places where there was only chaos. But agency detection alone doesn't explain gods. It explains ghosts, spirits, vague forces. To understand why those vague forces eventually became gods with names, personalities, and expectations, you have to look at a second glitch entirely. Humans are, above almost anything else, a social species. Your brain didn't just evolve to survive nature. It evolved to survive other people, reputation, trust, alliances, betrayal. For early human groups, surviving often depended less on physical strength and more on whether others in the group could trust you. But trust has a problem. You can never fully know what's inside someone else's head. You can only watch their behavior and guess. Anthropologist Dr. Ara Norenzayan, who studies the origins of religious belief, points to something crucial here. As human societies grew larger, moving beyond small bands where everyone personally knew everyone else, a new problem emerged. How do you keep strangers from cheating each other, stealing, lying, breaking promises, when no one can watch everyone all the time? The answer, across culture after culture, converged on something remarkably similar. An unseen watcher, a being who sees what humans cannot, who knows your intentions even when your actions look fine on the surface, who punishes betrayal even after you've walked away unnoticed. This is the second accident. Social pressure, the need for extended cooperation among strangers, met a mind already primed to detect invisible agents, and the two combined into something new. Not just spirits in the wind, a moral mind in the sky. Notice what that means. The gods didn't need to be observed to be believed in. They needed to be useful. A god who watches you when no human can enforce his honesty in a stranger's transaction, in a promise made out of sight, in a debt owed across a great distance. Societies with that belief could cooperate at larger scales than societies without it, which raises an uncomfortable question. Did belief in God spread because it was true, or because it worked? Here's the twist most people never consider. This wasn't a story invented once and copied everywhere. It emerged independently, again and again, in cultures with no contact with each other. Separate continents, separate centuries, separate languages, and yet the same basic architecture appears over and over. An unseen mind, moral judgment, reward and punishment tied to behavior no other human witnessed. That kind of repetition across isolated cultures is not what you'd expect from a single myth passed along a trade route. It's what you'd expect from a shared piece of cognitive machinery, activated independently, whenever human societies crossed a certain threshold of size and complexity. In other words, humans may not have invented gods the way they invented tools, through trial, error, and deliberate design. They may have stumbled into them the way a shadow stumbles into a shape that looks like a face. And once that shape existed, it didn't stay small. Religion didn't just explain thunder and enforce honesty. It began organizing entire civilizations, building calendars, laws, art, architecture, even the earliest forms of writing, much of which was first used to record religious ritual and temple accounts before anything else. An accidental byproduct of predator detection and social trust, ended up shaping the physical skyline of human cities. So what does any of this mean for you? Someone living now in a world of satellites and neuroscience who still sometimes whispers a wish into the dark, or feels a chill in an old church, or senses that something is watching, even when you know, logically, that nothing is there? It means that feeling isn't foolish. It's ancient hardware, still running exactly as designed. The same instinct that once made your ancestors freeze at a snapped twig in tall grass is the same instinct that makes a modern room feel different when you're utterly alone. Your brain is still asking the same question it always has. Is something here with me? For most of human history, the answer humanity gave to that question reshaped entire civilizations. So the next time you feel that flicker, the sense of being watched by something you cannot see, remember what it actually is. Not proof of anything beyond you. Not disproof of it either. Just an old, careful machine built in a dangerous world, still quietly checking the grass for lions and occasionally finding gods instead.